Hello and welcome back to the Skytiger Gaming table. I'm your host Wildscarr. Today on the table we've got Star Realms, and also the Star Realms has the Star Trek reskin basically. Just going to compare the parts and pieces, see what the differences are, and then I'll go into a small tutorial to see how it is. We picked up Star Realms, the main deck, probably, I don't know, it's been probably 10, 15 years now, like when it first came out. I don't remember exactly when it came out. And it's definitely had some wear and tear. You can see that the box edges have been opened and played several times. We actually have two decks when we want to play 4-player. We mix them all together. That's the main difference between the original and the Star Trek reskin. The Star Trek reskin actually comes with enough raiders and scouts to play 4 players straight from one box. So as you can see here, there's only 2 decks to start with for the original Star Realms and 4 for the Star Trek Star Realms. The other main difference is it actually has a player mat that can set up in the center. It also has the little reminders, what all the icons mean. It's a quick little reference and kind of shows how the board gets set up. So let me move this over here out of the way. The other main difference between the two is the original Star Realms came with these double-sided cards that you use to track your authority. Authority is what they call in Star Realms, just like your health. So this is how you track it in the original. In the Star Trek Star Realms, they came with these little tokens like this. You punch them out, and that's how you keep track of your authority. The 1s and 5s, they're double-sided, but they're still just 1 and 5. The 10s and 20s are double-sided, so 10 is on one side and 20 are on the other side. I didn't pop these out. I left these straight in here, and they'll go pretty much right back in the box each time. Aftermarket or on the side, I've had this, God, going on 30 years now that I've used to track my hit points with this. It's lasted over the years. It's some good old, don't even know who made it anymore. Reaper. Yeah, Reaper from 1995. Been around for a while. I used to have a little figure on the top, but I took it off and planning on doing something else. Another way you can keep track is just a couple 10-sided dice. 10's place, 1's place. Whenever you take a hit, you just move it on down to whatever it is. So you take 5 points, you go from 50 to 45. So that's how we mainly keep track of all of our hit points. It takes up less space than dealing with the cards and filling with the tokens. But if you compare the cards, they're pretty much going to be almost identical. You can see that the blue, well, in the original you had 4 different factions. You had, I know they have a certain name for them, but I just call blue, red, green, and yellow. The blue ones were pretty much just how they heal. Reds were real aggressive. Greens were kind of aggressive, but they managed to like pull out other cards and morph other cards. And then the dreadnought or the yellow, they were like all about defense for the most part. Always causing people to discard other cards. But as you can see, and I'll put some inserts of what these look like up close, but they're pretty much just identical, just reskins. So like the command ship and the Enterprise, which they call the Galaxy class starship, still cost 8, still does the same exact, gives you 4 authority, does 5 damage and draws 2 cards. And then if you have another faction of the same color, it'll destroy a target location. and they are all pretty much the same. They're all exactly the same rules wise. They just have a different skin. So, but what I do like about the Star Trek over the Star Realms is that, like on these two, how they're the same card, they have the same artwork. Whereas the Star Trek, they used a different ship for each class. Even though these are the same card, they have different artwork. So it has the USS Reliant and then the USS Majestic on this one, for an example. But effectively, they do the same card, the same thing. So, and I went through pretty much all of them. The bases, well, they call them bases in Star Realms. They call them locations in the Star Trek version, but they're effectively the same thing. So unless you're a Trekkie or a diehard Star Trek fan, there's probably no reason to really get the Star Trek unless you just want the 4-player in one box. Because the cards are just a complete reskin of the game. I do, like I said, I do like there's slight variations in the cards with the different artwork. And they do give you a little bit of text from where the card comes from in the game, like the Rio Grande. So the USS Rio Grande was one of the 3 runabouts delivered to Deep Space Nine by the USS Enterprise D. So a few little things. And then shoot right here on the Enterprise says, among the Starfleet officers who have commanded the USS Enterprise D are Jean-Luc Picard, William T. Riker, and Edward Jellicoe. I didn't like that episode. I at least remember a little bit. But that's pretty much the comparisons between the two, the similarities, gameplay, the card effects, the discard, the outpost, they're all pretty much the same. The icons are even similar. The play is pretty much the same. You're just getting a reskin for Star Trek for Star Realms. If it wasn't for the backs of the cards, you could probably mix them and no one would ever tell the difference. So that's the differences. I'll clear some of this off and I'll kind of go over the rules and a brief overview for a slight tutorial, and I'll be right back. Alright, I got everything set up on the table now. This is how you would set everything up. The trade deck will go on the right. This will be for the scrap pile whenever you scrap items. This will be your trade row, and these consist of the Decor class. The Decor class, they're unaligned ships. This deck is all the same. It's all the same ship. If there's something too expensive, like if all the cards in the trade row are ever too expensive, this allows you to have something to spend your trade currency on. Then the way you determine, step 1, randomly determine who will take the first turn. I've set up for a 2-player game. So this person will be the first player. They draw 3 cards, and the second player will draw 5, and then every subsequent turn after that, each one will draw 5. Everybody gets their authority counter, however they want to use it. Everyone starts with 50 authority. Each player starts with their own personal deck. It consists of 2 raiders and 2 scouts. Then on your turn, you will play each card face down in what's considered your play area. So this will be the player draw deck. You will have a discard area down here and each player. So you would basically cut this right down the center. So this would be player 2 and this would be player 1. Or you could set across from each other. That's normally how it's played. That way each person has equal access to the cards. And then from there, you're set up and you're ready to start playing. So we'll go over a few as we play here so you can see I have 3 scout ships. The scout ships provide 1 trade, and I completely forgot the most important part was to populate our trade row with cards from the trade deck. So it looks like we got 3 Federations, a Dominion, and a Romulan. And I have 3 trade. And you don't have to spend all of it. If there's something you want versus another one, for example, this one is 3, I could take this one and be done. But if I took either this one or this one, I'd have 1 left over and I'd have nothing to spend on. So I would take this one and put it, any cards that you purchase will go in your discard pile. And then your hand, once you're done, or actually after you do that, you can repopulate it down here. Because there are some cards in there that have 1. So, but unfortunately I'm going to be giving up 1. So those go there. And I will draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for my next hand. And then the next player would then be able to go have a scout, a raider, scout, scout, and raider. So now the damage, or sorry, they call it combat. So you add all the combat tokens up. So this would be 2 combat. It would attack them, causing my 50 to go to 48. So you just keep track of it like that. Now I'm at 48. These go into your discard pile. And then you have 3. So unfortunately you couldn't buy these 2. You could buy this one, or you could go with one of these. It kind of depends. So for example, I would go with that card for this player. And then we would go with there. Now the difference between the cards that you're seeing here, these are ships that are straight up and down. The ones that are horizontal, like this, would be bases. I'm going to fast forward to a later turn in the game, and we'll come back to you in just a moment. Alright, now we're later in the game, and I'm going to play a few other cards. So as you can see, I have a few locations out. Whenever you see cards like this that have one icon or another icon, you have to choose between the 2. For example, this base right here, you would have to choose between 2 authority, and you would regain 2 authority, or you can have 2 trade. And then this one down here is, you can do 5 combat, or you can draw a card for each Romulan card that you played this turn. So this would come something later. For example, I'm going to play now. I'm going to play another base. And you're not restricted to play one or the other. If you have the trade to pay, you can have Romulans mixed with Klingons, mixed with Federation, mixed with Dominion. Those are the 4 different factions here. So, and then as I play these out, and we'll say that we're further down the line, about like that. It's probably where we would be about this point in the game. So you would take the authority here, so you'd get 4 authority back. So you would just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would add back to your authority. Basically, you're healing yourself back up. And because I have on this one, I would also draw 2 cards because there's not an or statement between it. So on cards like this, you would get the authority, the combat, and draw 2 cards. So I would get another scout ship, another 2 scout ships. And then down here, because whenever you see this icon, this is a Federation every card has a similar one in the upper left-hand corner denoting what faction it's going to be. So if you have another card in play, whether it's a location or a ship, this feature of the card would then activate. So now I can destroy a target location. So now I would be able to look at the opponent and choose between these two cards. Normally, to destroy a target location, there's two different kinds. You can see over here that these have a black shield behind it. This means you do not have to destroy this first before you target another player's life or authority points. If there is a red shield behind the number, that means you have to take this out before you can damage their authority. And it has to be done all at one time. So if you only have 3 attack, you would not be able to attack this person this round, and those 3 combat points would just be lost. But you would also have to choose. For example, you count up all the combat that you're doing at this round. So right now, I would be doing 5, 6, 7, 8, and then potentially I could have another 5, depending, because I didn't play any other Romulan cards, so I would definitely want to do that 5 for that. So that would be 13 points of damage I would be doing this round. So I could do 9 points to get rid of both of these. Both of these would go into their discard pile. And then he would take 3 points of damage, which would put their authority down to 25, just like that. But because I had that, technically I would already destroy one of these, and then he would technically take another, because you'd always want to do the most. Oh, and that's a 6, not a 5. So that would have been 10 points that I would have had to do there. But because I have this card saying I can destroy a target location, I can destroy that 6, and then he would take another 6 points of damage, and that would put him down to 19, just like that. So, and then otherwise, you don't attack from ship to ship like some other games. If you're going to attack another player, you straight attack their life points. And then you keep going and you play the cards. Each cards do something a little bit different. If I go over to this player, they have this card right here, the Bird of Prey. They have an ability that if they have another Klingon card in play, they can scrap a card in your hand or discard pile. And the way that works is in your hand means it's still in your hand up here like this, because once it hits the table, it's technically out of your hand. So if you set all these on the table like this and forget to do this card, then you can't scrap any of these, and you would have to scrap stuff in your discard pile. Now, if your players want to be lenient, that's fine. You can just throw everything down and then scrap a card from your hand, however you want to do it. That's up to y'all. Letter of the rules say it has to be in your hand, but it doesn't really matter too much. Then there's another one here, much like the Enterprise over here, the Negvar. If you have another Klingon ship, you can draw a card. This one here also, the Negvar, you can destroy a target location and do 6 damage even if you don't have another Klingon. So there's synergies with different cards, and like if you can attempt to get all the same factions, they'll synergize real well, and they'll play off of each other. And then there's other cards like this one here, the Deep Space Station. If they have a trash can symbol next to them, that means you can do the top part, so you can get the 1 authority or 1 trade. And then if you want to trash this card or scrap this card, then you can do 3 damage to your opponent. And then you scrap it, would go into here. Just like if you were scrapping something from your ham, you'd scrap it and you would put it into the scrap pile. And the same scrap pile for everybody. Nothing can come out of the scrap pile unless there's a card. I don't think there's one in the base game that allows you to take it back out. And they don't have any expansions for Star Trek Star Realms, but the Star Realms has tons of expansions for it, and even has an app that you can play on your phone. I've played the heck out of that, waiting at restaurants and whatnot. So, and then once you get somebody down to, whoever gets the person down to 0 authority first wins the game. And that's how you play Star Realms. One other thing that makes the Star Trek Star Realms stand apart from the base game of Star Realms, because Star Realms, just the base game, this is just a 2-player back and forth, whereas the Star Trek Star Realms can play with other formats. There's 3 to 6 players. Like I said, if you want to combine 2 of these sets together, you can play up to 6 players into basically a free-for-all. 3 to 4 players, where each person can attack each other back and forth. It doesn't matter. There's a hunter version where you're only allowed to attack the player to your left, or you can attack the locations to the left and right. Then there is a hunter first blood, whereas like this hunter version, it's last man standing, whereas this hunter is the first person to knock out the person to their left wins the whole game. And then there are other rules. There's other rules that if you just read down through here, there's a raid, which one person plays the boss and everyone else plays the raider to come after him. So it's a nice little 1v2, v4, however many people want to try to do it. And depending on how many raiders, depends on how much authority the boss has, and their hand size might be larger than normal as well. So adds a little bit of extra depth, might get a little bit more replayability out of this one. So, and you can technically do the same thing with the old version of Star Realms if you just buy an extra deck of this to account for the different players you want. So you could do the same thing. And that pretty much wraps it up. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe and comment down below. I would appreciate it. Thank y'all. Have a good day.